Tonight, a child killed and a truck driver arrested after a crash on the Calder Freeway causes chaos. Queensland to open its border 4 days early to Victorians, as Perth officially loses its ashes test. One of Melbourne's most dangerous hoons arrested as police launch a summer crackdown. An out-of-control boat forces several people to duck for cover. Hospital records broken as a Victorian mum welcomes a very big baby boy. And a brutal first session back for the AFL Premiership stars.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Mike Amor starts now.
Good evening. A child has been killed and 4 others hurt in a horror crash on the Calder Freeway. The early reports from police are that the truck collided with at least 3 other vehicles, triggering a major emergency operation. 2 people have been flown to hospital. 1 is fighting for her life.
Chaos on the Calder Freeway. Passengers treated in the middle of the road as emergency workers try to free people who are trapped and injured.
Sadly, as a result of that collision, a number of people have been critically injured and a small baby infant has lost its life in the back of one of those cars.
It's believed the truck smashed into at least 3 vehicles before flipping on its side and spilling a load of grain across 2 inbound lanes of the Calder Freeway at Diggers Rest. A Toyota Ute almost crushed and torn apart on impact. A boat trailer, station wagon and SUV caught up in the carnage. An air ambulance flew 1 child to the Royal Children's Hospital. Another passenger freed from the wreckage was flown to the Royal Melbourne. A 3rd patient was also taken to hospital. Witnesses have described seeing the semi-trailer driving erratically and speeding in the lead up to the crash.
It's monumentally frustrating to see this sort of stuff, and it's for no reason other than just a bit of care, a bit of time. Take your time, slow down, look after each other. I don't want another one of these before Christmas.
Major collision investigators joined police officers at the scene, arresting the truck driver and trying to piece together what went so tragically wrong.
And Cassie Zervos joins us from Diggers Rest. And Cassie, this is a developing story tonight.
Well, Mike, police have confirmed, sadly, an infant has died in this horror smash. Their mother remains in hospital tonight, fighting for her life. Police say the driver of the truck somehow lost control, striking a number of vehicles, which has caused this devastation. All inbound lanes remain closed here tonight. Commuters can expect delays of up to half an hour. Mike.
Cassie, thank you. WA's hard border stand has cost it the 5th test. Blake Johnson is at the MCG with the details. And Blake, it's official.
Mike, months of headaches came to an end, at least for cricket bosses today, as they stripped Perth of its 5th Ashes test. The WA Cricket Association says it is extremely disappointed in this decision, but Perth's loss is either Melbourne or Hobart's gain. 7 News understands Hobart is just in front at the moment. Cricket bosses keen to grow the audience there, not so keen to double down on one venue getting 2 test matches. Plus, there's a big bash game scheduled at the MCG on what would be day 3 of that test in January. WA now well and truly on its own, as Queensland announced Victorians can head there sooner than planned.
A pre-Christmas present, Queensland opening to Victoria 4 days early, in time for school holidays and with fewer test requirements than South Australia.
We want to give people certainty, want to give family certainty and business certainty.
The Sunshine State hits 80% fully vaxxed this week. From next Monday, arrivals from Victoria, New South Wales and the ACT will need a negative PCR test within 3 days of going and another 5 days after arrival. South Australia requires the same test before going, but adds one on your arrival day, plus isolation until its result. Another test is needed 6 days after arrival.
I think it probably does put a little bit of additional pressure on the rest of the country.
For 2 states worried for so long about reopening, this is a solid show of support for the national plan.
And it will take some adjustment time for our state because we're moving from that elimination of any community transmission through to a suppression of the disease going forward.
Victoria's 310 COVID patients in hospital and 45 in intensive care are their highest numbers in a week, but not by much. 6 deaths and around 1,000 daily cases remain steady. Queensland expects an almighty surge in travellers early next week, and with that,
we are expecting extensive delays.
Pack sun cream, thongs and
plan ahead and pack their patients.
New South Wales recording 208 cases, 10 are the new Omicron strain. The state allowing 250 international students to arrive today, given an exemption around the federal government's date change, pre-planned, fully vaxxed, and after 3 days quarantine, good to go.
It's been a hard, long time. Sending so many travel exemption requests.
Everyone else delayed until Wednesday week. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
Primary schools could soon be transformed into pop-up COVID vaccination clinics. The state government believes it will be the quickest way to vaccinate children aged 5 to 11.
The vast majority of Melbourne's COVID clusters are in schools.
And that has caused some disruption and considerable workload for our principals and leadership teams in those schools. So, it has been a slightly disrupted term.
Templestowe Valley Primary has 65 active cases. Numbers are also soaring at Our Lady of the Southern Cross. Schools in the east and north have been badly hit. In total, 48 are impacted.
It will give them some degree of comfort, I think, and confidence about the school year in 2022. That we will start to see many of our primary age students vaccinated.
The TGA has provisionally approved small doses of Pfizer for children aged 5 to 11. The federal government expects the rollout to begin on January 10.
It's really good news. The sooner we can get those jabs in the arms of those children, the better, and particularly if they're well protected before the start of the school year.
The vaccine is expected to be available for children in state hubs, pharmacies and GPs, but the Andrews government wants schools involved.
I think the Department of Education and the Department of Health are having those conversations about whether or not, some pop-up arrangements at schools might be made available. I think it would make sense. Take the jabs to the kids rather than the other way around.
Currently, vaccines like tetanus are administered on campus, but only in high school as students meet the required age.
We need to make sure that we provide all of the data that we have around vaccine safety and effectiveness, but there are so many good reasons to vaccinate kids.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
One of Melbourne's most dangerous hoon drivers has finally been caught after months on the run. His arrest looms as a major breakthrough for Victoria's Hoon Task Force, promising a statewide crackdown over summer.
Melbourne's most wanted and dangerous hoon on the run. As police closed in, a raging mob intervened. They surrounded the vehicle and menaced officers. One hoon threw a kick as the wanted man made his getaway. 2 months later, police dispersed another illegal gathering at the same location. This time the ringleader was on a trail bike and rode straight at officers, kicking their vehicle, before again avoiding arrest. But after months on the run, police finally stopped their suspect in his tracks. A 20-year-old arrested at his Berwick home.
The community is right to be outraged, and so are we. His behaviour is incredibly reckless and dangerous.
Bailey Murray is facing 160 charges, up to 6 years jail for offences including reckless conduct endangering life. A silver Commodore was also seized.
In May, the 20-year-old was given a good behaviour bond and fined after pleading guilty to other serious hoon offences. The court was told that he cut ties with bad influences, but he was allegedly here just a week later.
In a statewide crackdown on hoons, 71 people have been arrested since July and there have been 103 vehicles seized. This statesman was crushed after the owner pleaded guilty to conduct endangering life. The approach is to investigate hoons as serious criminals, following their tracks if they do manage to flee the scene of the crime.
No tolerance towards this type of behaviour on our roads.
Cameron Bowe, 7 News.
In some good news this evening, 83-year-old Jose Fernandez has been found after going missing in Richmond 4 days ago. He wandered off from his home near Docker Street on Thursday afternoon. His family had serious concerns about his disappearance because he suffers from Alzheimer's. A killer driver has avoided jail despite pleading guilty to a crash that claimed the life of a fellow truckie. The victim's devastated family says they've been let down by the courts.
Father of two, Peter Howard, was killed by a passing truck in a freak crash, but the man responsible has walked free. It's a new blow for Mr. Howard's family.
The courts and the legal system have kind of let us down. My feeling is that he should be in jail.
Mr. Howard was driving through Epping just before Christmas 2019, unaware an oncoming truck had one of its stabilising legs, like this one, extended right in line with the cabin of Mr. Howard's garbage truck. Without skid or swerve marks, it seems he didn't see it coming. The 50-year-old was ejected by the impact and died on the road. The county court heard Goran Joveski of Truganina knew the stabilising leg of his truck was faulty, but didn't check it thoroughly on the day or know it was swinging into traffic.
I well and truly understand that he didn't set out that morning to kill anyone, but by the same token, actions have consequences.
Judge Wendy Wilmoth said it's rare for a person charged with dangerous driving causing death to dodge jail time, but she let Joveski walk free with a 3-year community corrections order and 300 hours community work.
He's passed away and there's really been little to no consequence of that.
The judge said that Joveski's moral culpability was low because he didn't know the truck's arm was out, he wasn't speeding, drunk or driving erratically. Plus, he pleaded guilty, was remorseful and had no criminal history.
One day I might forgive you, that day's not today.
Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
Labor is stepping up its fight to win the next federal election as the Prime Minister continues his campaign blitz in marginal battlegrounds. Scott Morrison is also openly backing former New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian to run for a federal seat.
Launching Remade in Australia with recycled monster Lego.
Well, this is a very good-looking castle.
Looking to remain king of the political castle, though a bit early.
At this election, it's next year.
Still months off.
I want to unite the country.
But both now in full campaign mode. Anthony Albanese selling his $1 billion education boost, 465,000 free TAFE places and 20,000 more spots in university.
Our whole society benefits when people get access to proper education.
While his climate spokesman sells the new commitment to reduce emissions by 43% by 2030.
We can offer the Australian people more jobs, lower power bills, lower emissions.
Scott Morrison says Labor would need Greens support to get its plan passed, recycling a familiar coalition attack.
Vote Labor, you vote Greens and you vote for the Greens targets.
And Scott Morrison's ramping up his very public campaign to remake former New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian as a candidate in Warringah, even though she's still the subject of an ICAC corruption inquiry and doesn't live in the electorate. Encouraged by former colleagues.
She'd make an outstanding contribution to our nation if she was elected to our federal parliament.
The Prime Minister again attacking ICAC's conduct.
I think has been shameful.
After mauling the watchdog in Parliament.
I've seen few more disgusting displays on the floor of the Parliament than that.
Although Labor's given little chance in the seat held by independent Zali Steggall, promising a fight.
If they expect a leave pass for a Premier who's been under investigation by the ICAC, they won't be getting one.
Battle lines drawn. Mark Riley, 7 News.
The grandmother of the man accused of abducting 4-year-old Cleo Smith says she fears for her grandson's safety in jail. Terence Kelly is accused of abducting Cleo from her family tent and holding her captive for 18 days.
What's the first thing you'll say to him?
I'll tell him, Terry, tell me the truth, please. And I do feel upset for him. I'm so sorry. I feel upset. I need something to be done right for him.
Kelly did not apply for bail and will be back in court next month. 2 men are in custody tonight accused of stabbing a family member to death during a wild night in Melbourne's west. Police arrived to find the suspects hiding in a neighbour's yard.
Forensic police search for answers into how a family dispute turned deadly.
It's pretty scary, honestly. I didn't think something like that would happen in this area.
Paramedics were called to the Deer Park home just after 11 o'clock last night. They arrived too late to save a man, stabbed to death by people he knew and trusted.
He was saying, somebody help because they've got knives and hammers and I'm scared I'm going to be stabbed. And he was hiding in someone's house.
7 News understands the victim suffered multiple stab wounds to his upper body. The attackers fled before police found them hiding nearby.
The police had told me to stay inside and lock the door, that they were well aware of the situation.
I'm stressed. My son, Mom, hello, how are you? Good. What happened? I don't know. Just police around.
Homicide detectives are now trying to determine what caused this fatal attack as they trawl through hours of security vision from neighbouring homes. The two accused remain in custody tonight. No charges have been laid. Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
A baby boy has given his mother quite a surprise, arriving into the world weighing 5.7 kilograms. The newborn was delivered via caesarean when the Mildura doctors realised just how big he was going to be.
Before Tuka Kamia Jr. was born, his parents were warned he would be a big baby, but they didn't think he'd be this big.
Got up to halfway and felt like I was already full term. So I knew that there was something up.
Weighing in at 5.7 kilograms or 12.5 pounds at birth.
He obviously came out almost crawling. I think I almost stopped breathing.
A natural birth was quickly ruled out, a caesarean scheduled 2 weeks early after mum Anna was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. The smooth delivery marking the largest bundle of joy to arrive at Mildura Public Hospital this year.
A big baby like that is as big as some 3-month-old babies, in the cot. They do look funny because they're so big, but they're beautiful.
Junior is the couple's 5th child. Now 2 weeks old, he's settling in well at home. As to whether he'll be the final member of the Paluku family, that's still up for debate.
No more.
I want more, but my wife say maybe it's enough now.
Rochelle Brown, 7 News.
That is one big baby boy, isn't it? It's been a day of footy drama. Tim Watson, a premiership demon, collapsed at training.
Mike, it was a brutal first session back. Chief football reporter Tom Brown has the details. And Tom, Jake Lever collapsed today.
Tim, one of Melbourne's best defenders, Lever fainted and was dazed for 15 minutes. It was Melbourne's first session back this morning. Simon Goodwin said to give the group a strong message about resetting post-premiership, but this was particularly dramatic. Lever on the ground in the hands of the club doctor for at least 15 minutes. Melbourne say Lever went too hard too early. It was hot and windy at Casey. At Collingwood, Captain Scott Pendlebury will have a plate inserted. He's broken his leg for a second time this year. I've spoken to Dr. Peter Larkins. It's also got potential captaincy implications. I'll have more shortly in sport.
Thanks, Tom. Also ahead, all the Ashes build up as England plays Secret Squirrel and the Aussies sharpen up at the Gabba. And Mike, a wild Grand Prix means the F1 title race will go down to the wire. That's all coming up in sport.
See you soon. Thanks, Tim. An out-of-control boat has forced several people to duck for cover. Next, an incredibly close call at a boat ramp. Also, the massive clean-up operation at a northern suburb's chemical waste site. The bridal party forced to hitch a ride on a tram to make it to the big day. The place to play in the pink this summer. And coming up later, why it could pay to get in early when shopping for Christmas food. It's taken 6 months, but a northern suburbs factory has finally been cleaned up after a dangerous chemical fire 2 years ago. The former factory owner is facing charges for stockpiling chemical waste, which went up in flames in April 2019. The Environment Protection Authority has removed 6,000 tonnes of waste at a cost of $6 million, money it will now try to get back from the factory owners. A boat has launched into the air and crash-landed on a jetty, narrowly missing shocked bystanders. The skipper somehow lost control, with police saying it's a miracle no one was injured.
300 horsepower out of control. In its path are the boats, cars, trailers and people. It almost jumps clean over a jetty. One man hooking up his boat runs for his life.
And suddenly this boat comes flying across at unbelievable speed, basically launches itself off the top of my trailer, launches off my Amarok.
It happened on Sunday morning in Perth's north. You can see the shock as bystanders realise they're okay. Remarkably, the flying boat hasn't taken anybody out.
He killed me though, I
A ute and a boat trailer collateral damage, both can be replaced.
It wouldn't have been on purpose or anything. You wouldn't want to fly in the air with your boat. No wings on it.
They were very lucky. Both were in shock. It could have turned out so much worse.
Those who were here yesterday say what happened is an accident, but transport authorities are investigating. They're urging boaties to be patient this summer, with long waits expected at boat ramps. waiting it out worth it to avoid a repeat of this. Rory Campbell, 7 News.
A US congressman has come under fire after posting a family Christmas photo online posing with military-style assault weapons. The families of gun violence victims have criticised Thomas Massey for releasing the picture just days after a deadly school shooting. 15-year-old Ethan Crumley is accused of killing 4 of his classmates in Michigan last week. Islamic State is attempting a resurgence with a new attack on a village in northern Iraq. 13 people were killed, including Kurdish soldiers. ISIS controlled large parts of Iraq and Syria before being driven out by US-led forces. Western intelligence suggests at least 10,000 Islamic State fighters remain across both countries. A quick-thinking Melbourne couple has been forced to catch a tram in a mad dash to make it to their wedding on time. They were stuck in bumper-to-bumper city traffic with the clock ticking.
Weddings often stop traffic, but only Melbourne traffic could stop a wedding.
We were watching the clock quite intently. I think we all just looked at each other. Richard suggested maybe jumping on the tram, and it was just really a no-brainer.
Gridlock on Collins Street threatened to derail Madeline and Richard's big day before a snap decision got their wedding back on track.
We're all Melburnians, so it comes like second nature to us just to jump on a tram.
City commuters mingled with the bridal party as the clock ticked down to the ceremony at the old Treasury building on Spring Street.
Yeah, everyone was giving us congratulations, and some people gave up their seats for my bridesmaids, which was fantastic.
The tram arrived just in time, adding a truly Melbourne touch to the happy couple's wedding day.
It was just a dream come true. Everything fell into place on the day, so we were really grateful, very happy.
Jacqueline Felgate, 7 News.
A colourful new attraction is helping lure Melburnians back into the city, with the NGV unveiling a pond inspired by Victoria's pastel pink salt lakes.
We wanted something where we could create a space that people could kind of stop, reflect and kind of rethink our kind of relationship with nature.
Visitors are encouraged to splash in the pink pond over summer. Melina Saris joins us now, and Mel, we're keeping an eye out for showers and storms this evening.
We are, Mike. Thunderstorms have been popping up in a warm and humid air mass over Gippsland. The suburbs could see some storms this evening as well, but currently this is our warning area. Thunderstorms are producing bursts of heavy rainfall, which could lead to flash flooding this evening. There's a southwesterly change moving across the state tonight, which means we do have a few cooler days ahead. I'll have all of those details right after sport, Mike.
OK, thanks, Mel. Melbourne is aiming for a New York-style tourist attraction. Estelle Greepink has the details.
Mike, New York has the High Line and Melbourne will get the Green Line. I'll have the details next.
Plus, an underage driver arrested after a man is struck by a car in St Kilda. Prince William opens up about his favourite memories with his mother. And 2 golfers make history on the same hole in Kew. A teenage boy has been questioned by police after a man was hit by a car in St Kilda last night. The 24-year-old Middle Park man was crossing the Esplanade when he was struck after 11 p.m. He was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Police have released the 16-year-old driver as they continue their investigation. Melbourne is a step closer to having a new green space similar to New York's High Line Park. Estelle Greepink joins me live. And Estelle, the City of Melbourne has released its plans.
Well, Mike, it's been in the making for months and now we have a much clearer picture of what Melbourne's Green Line will look like. It'll be a series of connected parklands that run from the north side of the Yarra all the way here to the Docklands. But one much hyped feature has already been scrapped from the list. When an unused rail line was transformed into a public park in New York, millions of visitors flocked to it, inspiring the City of Melbourne to design one of their own.
It's a $300 million city shaping program to really enjoy the Yarra and rejuvenate the North Bank.
The Green Line will be a 6-metre wide promenade from Birrarung Ma to the Balti Bridge, but one key feature is missing from council plans.
I think that search for the appropriate home for Yarra pools continues, It was decided that we just can't fit everything in that particular spot on the Yarra, but we'll continue to work with Yarra pools on what may be other appropriate places.
Despite the absence of a pool and wetlands, the Lord Mayor says there'll still be plenty of reasons to visit our newest landmark.
Like South Bank was in the early 1990s, like Federation Square was in the early 2000s, it's time for another big project like that.
Councillors will consider the plan at a future Melbourne meeting tomorrow. Estelle Greypink, 7 News.
Prince William has revealed private childhood memories of his late mother in a new podcast. He opened up about his mental health struggles and how music has helped ease his anxiety.
Simple moments with his mother and brother, now cherished memories shared in a frank and intimate new podcast.
When I was younger, Harry and I were at boarding school, and my mother used to play all sorts of songs to kind of while away the anxiety of going back to school.
A 38-minute monologue recorded for an Apple series. The Duke takes listeners on a walk down memory lane.
Still quite enjoy, secretly, is Tina Turner's To The Best, because sitting in the back seat, singing away, it felt like a real family moment. My mother, she'd be driving along, singing at the top of her voice. And we'd even get the policeman in the car, he'd be occasionally singing along as well.
A wide-ranging chat. Prince William shares a funny moment with Taylor Swift and opens up about depression, which he hopes will get other people talking.
It's a fantastic revelatory podcast in which he talks about all sorts of issues. I mean, that whole business of them singing Simply the Best with their bodyguard and Dinah in the car, it just gets a great mental image.
And when I listen to it now, it takes me back to those car rides and brings back lots of memories of my mother.
For taking part in the Time to Walk episode, Apple is gifting a 6-figure donation to charity Lifeline. The rare insight into the future king's life will be released tomorrow morning. In London, Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
There's been a total eclipse over Antarctica. The blackout plunged the icy continent into rare darkness for this time of the year. A total solar eclipse happens when the moon passes in front of the face of the sun. Only the western part of Antarctica fell exactly in the moon's shadow. Sporting history buffs are reaching for the record books tonight after not one, but 2 holes in one from the same group on the same hole at Kew Golf Club. The chances of that ever happening again, 17 million to 1.
As sporting feats go, this is about as rare as it gets.
Oh my God. Oh my God. There's 2 balls missing here.
2 holes in one from the same group on the par 3 4th at Kew Golf Club.
2 of them! 2 of them! 2 of them! We've had 2 hole-in-ones!
We couldn't see 3 balls. We could only see 1. And then it was obviously surely not, we've rolled off or something.
It was just pure joy, pure elation. It was really it's an out-of-body experience, to be honest.
A dream birthday for Michael. Adam also still pinching himself. But spare a thought for the 3rd member of the group, Michael's son Sam, the odd one out.
I'm not looking forward to that. Hear about it every dinner for the rest of his life now. But so he should. It's amazing.
The chances of a hole-in-one are roughly 12,500 to 1. According to the PGA of America, the odds of 2 golfers in the same group making an ace on the same hole is approximately 17 million to 1. Is this the highlight of your sporting career?
I'd say it'd have to be, yeah. I mean, what could beat it?
I've made 100 for the Old Souths cricket team as well once in my life, and I thought that was going to be it, but this has topped that by a mile.
It's the first time in the club's 127-year history that this feat has been achieved. So now it's lifelong bragging rights in the locker room.
I'm looking forward to getting my name on a board, to be honest, so about time.
Laura Spurway, 7 News.
Bragging rights indeed. A single man has made Victorian history. Next, how he's achieving his dream of fatherhood by having his own child. Also, 1 million Australians will have more money in the bank from next month. How to avoid missing out on Christmas dinner favourites at the supermarket. And the best Australian albums of all time. Centrelink payments will increase in the new year for more than 1 million welfare recipients. Single parents will pocket an extra $23 per fortnight. The rate of the youth allowance for young people living away from home will increase by $17.90. Carers will also receive an additional $4.60. A Victorian man has been granted special approval to become a dad via surrogate. He's breaking new ground for single men with a deep desire to embark on a journey to fatherhood.
44-year-old Sean Resnick turned to surrogacy to realise his dream of becoming a father.
Ever since I was in my 30s, I've always wanted to be a dad.
He's believed to be the first single male in Victoria to start a family on his own.
It was roughly a 2.5-year journey before Carla came to my rescue.
That's Carla Pinkham, mother of 3 and a surrogate twice before, now 24 weeks pregnant.
It's something that I can do that takes a small part out of my life but makes a big difference.
Here in Victoria, prospective parents need approval from the Patient Review Board before the pregnancy can proceed.
Everybody also gets legal advice. They have psychological assessments. They would do some medical assessments as well.
Up to 100 babies are born via surrogacy in Australia each year, usually to couples.
Over my whole career, which has been over 25 years now, I've never had a case such as this.
Australian surrogates aren't paid, but they do have their medical costs covered. Add in legal fees, counselling and IVF, and the entire process so far has cost Mr Resnick more than $30,000. But he says you can't put a price on parenthood.
I think the single dads are going to start looking into surrogacy more frequently now that they know it's an option.
His baby boy is due in April. Would you say it's worth it?
100%. Now that I'm at this place in time, yes.
Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
A new app called Love and Learn is helping women recognise the early signs of domestic violence. It's been developed by the mother of a woman who escaped a violent relationship. The questionnaire is aimed at helping determine how healthy a relationship is using real-life scenarios. With just 19 days to go before Christmas, it's time to get serious about shopping for that big festive dinner. Experts say there are bargains to be had, but it will take research and effort to secure the best value for money.
With COVID seeing more Australians in Australia for the festive season, it's the battle to be on your Christmas table. And for the big tickets,
1.5 kilos, arguably one of the most competitive hams in the market.
It's all about fresh and local.
There's a lot of local produce still left here in Australia, which people will benefit from.
After China's ban on Australian rock lobster exports, there's again more to go around here. Prices may not be as cheap as last year, but still down as low as $70 a kilo. Good supplies of farmed prawns should also mean lower prices. Carmelo says there's been big demand for pre-ordering and buying early's no problem.
Freeze it as soon as you get home and then pull it out and put it in the coldest part of the fridge the night before you want to consume it. And it'll be as fresh as you buy it.
100% Australian grown, and they are moving very, very quickly at the moment.
Supermarkets competing for the family spend on affordable and Australian made.
More people are planning to entertain at home, and what else better is to support the local businesses and local producers and farmers.
According to the latest shopper survey, the average Australian expects to spend more than $300 on food over the holiday season, and almost 1 in 3 plan to buy early.
Because then you have the time to shop around and not make a mistake. No one wants to be the person who is hitting the supermarket shelves on the 24th of December quite late in the afternoon.
Paul Kadak, 7 News.
Checking the markets now, and the ASX 200 closed 4 points higher today. Afterpay shareholders had a bad day, the fintech falling to a 6-month low. The Australian dollar is buying 70.2 US cents. Rolling Stone magazine has divided opinion with its greatest Australian albums of all time list. The magazine says the answer is ACD's classic rock record, Back in Black. It came in at number 1 on a new list of 200 Aussie albums. In excess, John Farnham, Cold Chisel and Midnight Oil round out the top 5. Kylie Minogue's Fever was the highest ranked for a female artist at number 10. Controversial. Tim Watson returns with sport, and Tim, Scott Pendlebury's had a bad break.
Mike is headed for more surgery after a training mishap. Details are next. Plus the Demons' brutal session that floored a number of premiership heroes. And we go 1-on-1 with Bomber star Andy McGrath. The Ashes countdown, why Joe Root is keeping quiet as the Aussies sharpen up their hands at the Gabba. Crashes, controversy and serious championship implications in an action-packed Grand Prix. And Sam Kerr dazzles for Chelsea, earning more silverware.
Chelsea.
Welcome back. Melbourne's Premiership stars have got the brutal reality check on day one back at training. Jake Lever was the biggest casualty, collapsing before needing medical treatment.
Jake Lever flat on the ground. Club doctor Laura Lelenic providing first aid, Mark Williams and coach Simon Goodwin providing support. Lever managing to sit up about 10 minutes after fainting, and in front of concerned footy boss Alan Richardson, stood up 5 minutes later. The Demons telling 7 News Lever just pushed too hard, is resting at home and expected to return later this week. Other players were also exhausted after 2 months of drought-breaking celebrations. Max Gawn on his haunches, Alex Neil-Bullen struggled to get up, with similar scenes on the other side of the ground. At Essendon, star Andy McGrath is doing full training, admitting his knee injury hampered him in their final 3 games.
Sort of knocked me around a little bit. I sort of was a bit worried that I wouldn't come back to full fitness. Obviously I came back and played a few games, but I sort of didn't feel like myself. I was good enough to be out there, but was a little bit worried that I didn't have my movement back.
Michael Hurley determined to play senior football again. Sources say his ball work is good, but running remains the main issue after his life-threatening infection.
I hope so. It's up to him, and he's got a long road back, but he's looking the best I've seen him in a long time.
Gil McLaughlin there to help Essendon launch the second stage of their hangar facility. The AFL boss telling players they can have a life, with COVID cases expected to sideline players regularly next season.
The protocols are there. Be disciplined as you can, but also live your life. We've got to move forward this.
And Scott Pendlebury has a hairline fracture in his leg and will have a plate inserted by surgery. It happened from a knock at training in the same spot Pendlebury broke it back in round 19. Now, Dr. Peter Larkins thinks full training is realistic in February.
The bone's been a little bit weaker and he's having surgery, which is the plate and screws will make the bone heal up, but it does mean there's a healing time of perhaps 4 to 6 weeks before he can do any heavy loading on it. And then the plate usually comes out.
Taylor Adams and Darcy Moore are the names commonly coming up in discussions if Pendlebury wants to hand over the coveted captaincy. Moore is a priority signing for Collingwood, a free agent next year. Moore's manager, Liam Pickering, now working out if they'll sign this off-season, Tim.
Thanks, Tom. The MCG and Hobart loom as the 2 main contenders to host the 5th Test after it was officially moved from Perth. But 2 days before the Ashes begin in Brisbane, England is keeping its final 11 a closely guarded secret.
Finally, we're here, like Pat Cummins talking about the Gabba pitch. Bat or bowl if you win the toss.
I'll leave that up to the professionals, mate. I couldn't hit the ball off the squares.
How much rain's coming this week? The covers were on and off a couple of times today. And who's in England's 11? Cummins happily named his yesterday.
I'm not into my own games. I'm just not in a position right now to name my team. We'll go about our business how we want to.
There's a lot of times where we wait till the toss as well, so it's not going to be surprised by anything, I don't think.
Until Tim Payne intervened, Travis Head's spot at number 5 was one of the only hot topics weeks before the first test. On his 3rd chance, Head now feels fully equipped.
I stay really relaxed, go out there, feel like I'm in good form, so but there's always pressure.
New keeper Alex Carey's getting in sync with his slips cordon. Hazelwood and Stark are steaming in. Tomorrow, Queensland's adopted border will be feted with a bronze statue.
A little bit embarrassed, but at the same time, it's a great honour.
You can still buy tickets for day one.
We look forward to anyone who can come and being part of this party.
But they didn't open the border. WA wanted Thursday week's 2nd test to move from Adelaide to Perth. No chance. The Perth test has been scrapped. The series is now set to finish in Hobart, despite the financial lure of an MCG day-nighter. Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
After back-to-back wooden spoons, the Melbourne Renegades are determined to get off to a fast start in the Big Bash, beginning with a clash against the Strikers tomorrow night at Marvel Stadium.
When we got to the end of both the last 2 years, we freed up and played a little bit kind of carefree, and we all of a sudden were winning games with the young group. So I think we need to bring that mindset that we had in the last few games last year tomorrow night.
Meanwhile, it was a nightmare start for the Stars, copping the biggest ever defeat in the competition's history, thumped by 152 runs against the Sixers, but help is on the way.
We're hoping to have Stoinis next game. Fingers crossed for that. We've got Coulter Nile coming in tomorrow. Case Ahmed's on the plane. He's coming. We've got a new international signing.
Who is that,
to announce this week. We're not announcing it just yet.
They face the Thunder at the MCG on Friday night. Melbourne Victory has surrendered top spot on the A-League ladder down to 10 men against Perth Glory. Victory went down 3-0.
Everything that could go wrong went wrong. We lost the game and we'll regroup and go again.
Overseas, and Sam Kerr scored twice in Chelsea Women's FA Cup final win over Arsenal, their third trophy of the season. While Ralph Rangnick's reign as Manchester United manager kicked off with a 1-0 win over Crystal Palace. And in Scotland, Socceroo Tommy Rogic gave Ange Postecoglou plenty to smile about, scoring a wonder goal for Celtic. The Formula One Championship title will come down to this weekend's season-ending Grand Prix after an incredible race in Saudi Arabia. There were crashes galore, bringing on 2 red flags. Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen traded blows, with the Red Bull driver told to hand back the lead to Hamilton after an illegal move, but that caused even more chaos.
Oh, they touched and they collided! Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton!
Hamilton went on to win and draw level on points with Verstappen heading into the final round in Abu Dhabi. Nothing 2 Ashes tests in Melbourne would be a great idea.
It's only fair, Tim, after the couple of years that we've had.
Yeah, maybe we need to offer a little bit more money, but wouldn't it be fantastic?
You can put your hand in your pocket. Thanks, Tim. Melina is next with the forecast. And Mel, a change is slowly moving across the state.
It is, Mike. After a warm start to the week, the next few days will be fairly cool. I'll have all of those details right after the break. It'll be cooler over the next few days before it heats up at the end of the week. The city made it to a top of 27 this afternoon. Outside now, still nice and warm, sitting on 26 degrees. We have had some shower and storm activity over Gippsland. 26 millimetres fell in just 15 minutes near Sale. Moe's had 10 millimetres in the past hour. This is a severe weather warning in place. Heavy rainfall could lead to flash flooding in this part of Gippsland. A southwesterly change is moving across from the west this evening. It'll reach central districts around midnight. Taking a look at the satellite, the showers and storms are thanks to a trough which is extending across western Victoria while a cold front moves across Bass Strait. That trough will enter our central districts later tonight, slowly moving towards northeast Victoria. A quick check of our capitals for tomorrow. Showers for Brisbane, 29 degrees. Sydney could see some showers as well, 27 there. Partly cloudy in Adelaide, heading for a top of 20, and a shower or 2 in Hobart. But back to Victoria. Scattered showers over our southern and mountain areas will become isolated from the west during the afternoon. We could see some thunderstorms popping up once again over our central and eastern parts of the state. They'll move to the northeast of the state in the afternoon, and that could bring us some heavy rainfalls. It'll be a cool day across the south, a little bit milder up in the north. So Mildura heading for a top of 28, Hopetoun 26. That moderate to fresh south to southwesterly change will continue extending slowly from the west. So 16 at Ballarat, 23 at Bendigo and 18 there at Traralgon. Closer in, it'll be a cloudy day over the suburbs tomorrow with showers moving through in the morning and early afternoon. There's also the chance of a thunderstorm early on. Our winds turn southerly, bringing us these cooler temperatures, mostly around 16 or 17 degrees. And in the city tomorrow, we'll have showers in the first half of the day, easing by the afternoon. From a low of 14, we're only climbing a couple of degrees to a top of 16, so much cooler than today's top. Those showers redevelop on Wednesday, most likely in the late afternoon, a top of 18, a shower or 2 on Thursday morning, 19. We dry up on Friday, partly cloudy, 21, and we warm up into the weekend. Partly cloudy, 23 on Saturday, sunny and 28 on Sunday and Monday, heading for a top of 32 degrees, but we'll only make it to 16 in the city tomorrow, remaining fairly cool for the rest of the week, but next weekend is looking brilliant, Mike.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. Thanks, Mel. Now, let's see what's on Sunrise tomorrow.
Tomorrow on Sunrise, an epic battle in the kitchen. Eddie's cooking off against celeb chef Jamie Oliver.
Plus, win your share of 2 million Qantas frequent flyer points. And who you're going to call? The stars of Ghostbusters are back. They're right here on Sunrise.
See you in the morning, Melbourne.
And that's 7 News to now. We'll have updates later. For now, from the 7 News team, have a great night.